Hi, I'm Jen, one of the co-hosts of CryptocurrenSHE podcast. And today I'm going to talk about Bitcoin killing the environment. We're going to myth bust that real fast. I just got off doing a class. I was a guest on the FemPeak podcast, and we were talking about Bitcoin killing environment, which is the number one objection I get from people when we talk about getting invested in crypto. And one of the things I kind of want to rewind us all a little bit, if we can think back to the beginning of the pandemic. And we had 2 weeks where we all went quiet and the dolphins were visible in the Venice canals. We could see the Himalayas from Tibet. There were stories all over of people being able to see the stars in their big cities for the first time. And we watched nature collectively take over the planet while we as humans were still and quiet. And one of the things that didn't stop during those 2 weeks was Bitcoin mining. And so I want us to really think about why we're vilifying a technology that is maybe not the worst part of what's happening to our planet. And that's not to say that this isn't a really, really, really important issue. Those of us in the space are committed to finding new, better ways. Does Bitcoin mining take a lot of energy? Well, sure it does, but let's compare it to some other things. And if we look at marijuana production and cannabis grow rooms, they consume 100+ watts of energy per minute versus a hospital that consumes 36. If we look at what Google consumes, it is as much as 7 states in the US. It is increasing at an astronomical rate, and it takes up more than some countries. Buildings, the buildings that we currently live in, account for 40% of all CO2 emissions. My refrigerator consumes more energy than 3 billion people in the world who have no access to energy whatsoever. So the question when we think about Bitcoin mining isn't about it takes up too much energy. The question needs to be, what kind of energy are we using to power Bitcoin? And we have to look at a couple different components of that, which are, one, what is it replacing? What are we reallocating? If Bitcoin's taking out the middleman who's currently sitting in an air-conditioned office, who drove to his work and is also in a building that's taking up 40% of the CO2, and Bitcoin is eliminating those middlemen, okay, we're reallocating energy. And if we look at what El Salvador is doing right now with regard to tapping into their volcanoes, that wouldn't have happened without Bitcoin. But now the call for renewables in such a way that we're tapping into things that are well beyond solar and wind farms, which have huge land footprints, as well as aren't as efficient as we'd like them to be, that wouldn't be happening if it weren't for Bitcoin. And so when we look at this objection, which is a super valid one about the energy of Bitcoin is massive. Yes, it absolutely is. But in order for us to keep moving forward as a society, we need more energy, not less of it. We have to get energy to girls in Africa who don't have it. We have to get stable electricity to girls in Lebanon who are currently having to time their whole lives around when the grid is up. We have to have a call that is more energy usage, not less. Cleaner energy, that's really what we need to start looking at. That's what's important. And Bitcoin is leading the ask for better, more cleaner, more renewable energy So please don't get left behind on this amazing transformative technology just because you're listening to someone else's rhetoric about Bitcoin killing the environment. I want you to go do your own research, get curious about this. I have a big Twitter thread right now at Jen Greyson on Twitter where I'm tracking a lot of this data that's there that I'm finding. Come listen to Hannah and I on the podcast as we talk about this. This really matters to us. This is something we really want to demystify. These are the myths that we want to break down one at a time. So come at us with your hard questions. This is a great one. We love it. Bring us more. Come learn with us. We want to teach everybody, and we don't want anybody getting left behind in this.